a lieutenant governor, Democratic lieutenant governor. Her name is Sheila Simon, joining us now. Nice to see you. Thank you for being with us. We certainly appreciate it. How comfortable are you with sort of the visuals that you are seeing? How often are you talking to the chief of police, and how do you feel about what the strategy has been in dealing with both sets of protesters that we were talking about, the more peaceful protesters, and some of those folks you're seeing on TV with the more violent protests?
Yeah, I'm obviously saddened that there's violence involved, that police have been injured, that protesters have been injured. But what I'm pleased with is that for the most part, thousands of people have been able to express themselves, have been able to state their opinions about war, about NATO, and Chicago has shown a capability to respond, to be a global city, and I'm pleased with that.
Gary McCarthy is in the police, and he was asked about that use of batons, and we've seen that in a couple of the shots, and here's what he said.
Can you explain why officers use their batons?
Absolutely. To overcome an assault? Absolutely.
You said you were concerned about the image, but ultimately the batons did come out, and it's not a pretty thing when the batons come out.
No, but ultimately the officers were assaulted. They don't have to stand there and take an assault.
Are you concerned that many of the conversations that have been taking place over the weekend and probably will continue to take place today are about the violence and not conversations about what's really happening at this summit?
I am concerned about that because I think those small images, those few images, do form some kind of impression. I think, though, for the most part, people who were participating, and I have a staff member who was on the scene, said that for the most part things were very orderly, that there were plenty of law enforcement officers around to make sure the people could express themselves, that there were legal observers, that there were medical staff, and that it was really an effective use of a democracy where we have to tolerate and appreciate all opinions.
I know that the protesters have said that they're going to try to, quote, shut down Boeing today, which is based in Chicago and obviously makes gear for defense and aircraft as well. What's the strategy for protecting or I guess, keeping the protesters, if there is one, from Boeing?
Well, I think the strategy has been all along to work with all of the different law enforcement agencies in concert. And I think for the most part they've been doing a fantastic job of making sure that that people are protected and free speech rights are protected as well. It's a tough balance to get, but I think they're doing a good job.
Quick question for you about financial. The estimates that I have seen are about $55 million for security. A chunk of that is paid for by the feds. But the upside, I've also read, is somewhere around $128 million potentially by some estimates being made in, sort of housing and hotels and restaurants, et cetera, for the city. Do you think it's been worth it?
I think on balance it's a very positive thing for Chicago, for the state of Illinois. Chicago is a city with a global influence, and now we can demonstrate a global impact. We have lots of advantages and the ability to put something like this together well.
Sheila Simon is the state's lieutenant governor. Nice to see you. Thank you for talking with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Time to get a look at the rest of the stories making news this morning.